introduce you to Ace. Ace, let's get money. Cash flow.
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Indika Ace Cash Powell, and this is episode 12 of Cash Flow. All right, where hip hop and finance meet. So over the past few weeks, we've been having guests on board, but today I want to kind of focus on some cash flow analysis, and we're going to be looking at retail businesses, whether you getting started or you doing $1 million in revenue, kind of what the analysis is of the cash flow so you can grow your business, right? Get it bigger and continue to do and dominate your lane. All right. So we're going to start with the cash tip. Big thing is having an online presence and being able to take payments online. Some of the big payment services out there are going to be, of course, PayPal, Stripe, as well as Square. So make sure you check out, merchant services, how to take payments online when you're building out your business. It's just the market that we in. One of the biggest companies out there is Amazon, right? And they do everything online. They do have some stores, but it's all technology based. All right. So I'll be back. We'll be talking about that retail cash flow analysis. Let's get it.
Hey, welcome to Thinkers Co-working Spaces located on Jefferson and Chalmers. Hey, give us a call at 313-728-5662 or 313-850-3703. We have all the space that you need. Weddings, baby showers, meetings, you name it, we got it. We aim to please, or look us up at thinkerscoworkingspaces.com or at thinkthinkers.com. Thinkers, baby.
All right, we're back and we're talking about retail cash flow analysis. All right. Now, when you are thinking of whatever your business is going to be as far as retail, what we're talking about is selling goods. Okay. Whether it's wholesale, you open a brick and mortar store, or you're selling stuff online, we're talking about a product. All right. So we're not talking about services. We're not talking about real estate. What we're talking about right now is retail. So an example would be a t-shirt company, right? I think it's one of the easiest businesses to get into is the t-shirt business. But therefore there's a lot of competition. All right. Some other retail businesses that you may know of, outside of clothing is, tires for cars, anywhere where you can go. Walmart is one of the biggest retailers in the world. You have places like Macy's, you have places like, these are examples, just to give you an example. Even Amazon is a retailer because they sell products, okay? They're kind of a middleman between the people that make the products and the people that are buying the products, okay? And you got to think about your position, right? What position do you want to have? Do you want to manufacture products and sell them, or are you strictly selling them? So when you're getting started, that's a big thing to note. Are you the one that's making the products? I know people that make their own candles, or maybe they make food, maybe they make baked goods, right? So they're making them and they're selling them. But some people, they go and get a supplier, all right? And that chain, okay, from supplier to you is going to involve some type of transaction, right? Even when you're making the stuff yourself, you still got to buy the raw material. So you got to know what you're going to do when you're getting started, all right? And so that brings me into the second thing I want to hit, which is cost of goods, okay? So what are your costs of goods? What does it cost you to get the product ready to sell? All right, so back to t-shirts. Let's say that you can get t-shirts at $4 a piece, all right? So if you get 100 t-shirts, that's $400, right? Just to get the t-shirt. Then you want to put a design on it, right? You may have either a press machine, or you may have somebody else pressing them. But let's just say it costs you another $3 per shirt to get them pressed. Okay, so that's $7. That's your cost of goods. All right. Now, understanding that when you are talking about making money or running a business, that means your price has to be higher than the $7. All right. So it's very important for you to understand all the costs that go into making your shirt, because there's not just the shirt and the pressing. You may have a light bill, you got marketing, you got a lot of different things. But we'll stick to cost of goods because it's the most basic. All right. So your cost of goods sold is going to be the $7. All right. You have what we call overhead, but we're going to talk about that soon. All right. So now you know what your cost of goods sold is. Now we're talking about, next I'm going to talk about selling expenses. How much does it take after you've created this thing to get it in front of people, right? So maybe you're doing some social media marketing. Maybe you're hitting the ground and you're knocking on people's doors. Maybe you have a brick and mortar store where there's lights and there's utilities and there's a water bill, okay? So that's going to be your selling expenses. And so you also have to encompass that in your cost because you want to make sure that your bottom line or your net profit is positive. So you have what we call fixed costs. Those are going to be your rent, your utilities, and then you have variable costs. That's going to be closer to the cost of goods sold per shirt. So to give you the kind of frame that I'm talking about, you buy 100 shirts at $4, right? Then you get them pressed. Each one is going to cost you $3 per shirt. All right, so that's $700. Let's say that your rent where you're at is $1,000, okay, and that you have utilities around $500, and you have a marketing budget of $500. Well, to make the math easier, let's call it $800. All right, so you have the $1,000 rent, you have the $500 for utilities, and then $800 for marketing, accounting, all these other things. Okay, so that gives us $2,300. Then you have another $7 for the actual shirts. So for you to break even, how much do you have to sell your shirts for? Right? So you have to sell your shirts to break even. You have to sell your shirts for $30 a piece. So this is where you got to start understanding the math and the cash flow, right? Do you make more shirts or do you charge a higher price, right? So if you're still going to be paying, let's say $2,300 per shirt, let's order enough shirts, right? So that we don't have to have the price so high. So let's call it 30 shirts or 300 shirts, right? So to press and get 300 total shirts, now you're looking at $2,100 plus $2,300, okay? So you're around $4,400. All right. Now $4,400, and I'm gonna do this math on the board. So $4,400, and that's divided by 300. Okay. Matter of fact, I'm gonna bring out the trusty calculator. Y'all like, man, this guy is serious an accountant. I'm a serious accountant. All right. I wish I could do this in my head. And that's another thing to consider when you're doing math like this. You want to have a trusty calculator or a trusty accountant. Okay? So now I got my cost per shirt down to $14.70. Okay? That's just by upping your volume. All right? Now, again, that's your break-even price. So let's say that's your cost per shirt on a $4,400 a month budget. But if you sell the shirts for $20, okay, minus the $14.70, and you sell, so on each shirt, you're making $5.30. All right. So then you take that times 300. Okay. So 530 times 300. And forgive me if you can't read this. $530 times 300. You come out with a profit of $1,590. Now, you might be sitting saying, I'm spending $4,400, right, to make $1,590. All right. So the return on that investment, so $4,400 or $1,590 divided by 4,400 is 36%. Okay? and that's in a month. Right? So, in 1 month, you get a 36% return on your money. This is why people go into business, all right? Because you can get such a high return. For you to get this kind of return on a stock or even real estate, you're talking about, being on the very, very high end of making selections. But when you put the legwork in and put the work behind a business, you can get 36% returns a month on something as simple as a t-shirt company. All right. And 300 shirts, that's 10 shirts a day. All right. So I want y'all to mull over that, think about that, and we'll be back talking more about retail cash flow analysis.
Wazoo Mobile Technologies, connecting businesses and customers at a fraction of the price. Wherever you may go, quickly and easily find and compare deals and businesses with Wazoo. Now with over 20,000 downloads. Set preferences and see the best deals, or see all the new hair and fashion styles on Style Swiper. Browse for new hair and fashion styles, get directions to nearby salons who offer unique styles. Wazoo and Style Swiper from Wazoo Mobile Technologies. Available on the App Store and Google Play.
All right, welcome back. And we're looking at the retail cash flow analysis. All right, so we just talked about how if you sell more volume, right, you sell more shirts because of your fixed cost, you can bring that cost per shirt down, right? So where we were looking at $30 for 100 shirts, we were looking at $14.70 for 300 shirts. All right. And then we said, okay, if we price these shirts at $20, we're looking at almost a $1,600 profit on our shirts after we pay back everything else. All right. So the important thing to think about here is, especially with cash flow, is how long does it take for me to get my cash back after I spend it? So if you pay all that $4,400 up front, how long does it take you to sell the shirts and get the cash back? Now, in a t-shirt business, you should be getting that money right at the point of sale. But there's some businesses where you may give your client 30, even 90 days to pay you depending on the price structure. Or you may put somebody on a payment plan. So understanding cash flow from that standpoint is just as important as almost understanding your business in general. Another thing I want to talk about is sales tax. Especially with retail, you're going to come across this. In Michigan, the rate is 6%. Before an example, we're going to use 20%. So on that same $20 shirt, okay, sales tax at 10% is going to be $2. Now this is something that you really don't have to worry about in your calculation because the customer is going to be paying this $2, okay? So I don't want you to think about it too much. Just know that it's there and that you're responsible for it. So really you're charging somebody $22 for the shirt, right? And that $2 you're going to have to send to the state, okay? Now this may be monthly, this may be quarterly, depending on what state you live in, all right? But you got to make sure that you at least collect this $2 because you don't want to get in trouble with whatever state you're in. Another thing to consider, which is very important, I don't care what business you're in, is income tax, right? So on that $1,590 profit, you're going to be paying taxes on that, all right? Let's say that the tax rate is 30%, all right? So $1,590 times 0.3 gives us $477, all right? So on that $477, that money is going to the proper tax authorities. Now that may be, depending on where you do work, that may be your federal, your state, and your city, okay? Now, a big thing to consider is that depending on where your profits are or where your revenue is, you may have to make this $477 payment either monthly or quarterly, Okay, you don't want to get penalized for not paying your taxes on time. All right, so make sure you get with a tax professional and take care of that. All right. All right, so we talked about sales tax and income tax in our last segment. Now I want to talk about how do you grow after understanding the analysis. So we know if we sell 300 shirts, right, we're going to do $15.90. All right. Let's just, for example, let's just say if we sold 500, we're looking at $2,500, and then at 1,000, we're looking at $7,000. All right. Now the numbers don't always line exactly up, but that's because we have fixed costs and variable costs that are going into your product. But it's good to understand what numbers we want to hit and have these goals in order to grow, right? The other thing to remember is as you sell more product, you're gonna have more expenses. Okay, so your expenses may go up, but that's okay as long as you're growing. It's okay as long as you're growing and you understand where you're going, because at the end of the day, we want to get companies not to just do a $1,500 a month profit. We want to see companies doing $15,000 upwards of $150,000 per month. We want to see $1 million companies. All right. And so you're just scaling these numbers, and it's all pretty much the same thing. Cost of goods sold, selling expenses, net profit. You're dealing with taxes, but growth is our main objective. All right. And this type of analysis, you got to do it. I don't care what business you're in, whether it's retail, service, real estate, any business, you got to sit down and look at the numbers, right? We've done a lot of shows talking to entrepreneurs, and they've given us, really, really good information on what it takes what it takes from the inside to get business done. But we also want to make sure that we remember the numbers and the cash flow and the analysis. All right. So if you have any questions for me, please contact me. Hit me up on the comments below, or you can email me. And I really appreciate any questions that you may have. All right. And we'll be back.
The idea of starting a new business is exciting, but one will have to go through lots of obstacles before it turns into reality. Financial decisions made on the early stages of forming the business will dictate whether the venture will succeed or fail. But with Pettis, we'll help your business maximize in profits while minimizing your tax burden. We'll help you weigh the pros and cons of each financial decision you will take. We'll also form your business and set you up with free accounting software to help you keep track of your income and expenses. Don't risk making a mistake. Contact Pettis LLC, your full-service accounting firm in Detroit, for practical advice that will help you make the best decisions for your new business.
All right, welcome back. All right, so now I want to talk about securing the bag. All right, I want you guys to make sure that as we're moving forward in the world, that you have an online presence. It's very important for you to get in front of people and network. It's very important to be able to, do an elevator speech and be able to, get customers and investors. But just as important as that is to have that global reach that you can get from having an online presence. Really, it's just super cost effective. And if you're in retail, it's almost a necessity, right? We've seen Toys R Us get crushed. We've seen a lot of other companies that just stuck with brick and mortar kind of lose their business because they didn't have an online presence. And I want you to be forward thinking. I mean, that's what this show is all about. It's about getting us ahead of the ball, getting us ahead of the curve so that we can, take advantage of everything that's out there. All right. So make sure that you're focusing on your website, your social media, you're doing, YouTube videos, whatever you can to kind of get your name out there, get your brand out there, but also be able to bring business and close deals as well online. All right. So make sure you're taking care of that. All right. Next, I want to talk about our celebrity or sellout. All right, this week we're going to be talking about Steve Stoute. All right, he's a music record exec, and he's been around the game for a very long time. Actually, he helped Nas get his start. He also helped Will Smith. So this guy has been around for a long time, and he's been behind big names like Jay-Z, like 50 Cent, because, Mary J. Blige, and he is a marketing expert. All right, this guy has taken the hip-hop brands and taken them to the McDonald's, taken them to the Anheuser-Busch's, the Reeboks, Samsung, Procter & Gamble even. And so I think as we talk about retail, right, and we talk about branding, I think it's important to understand that you got to have a marketing mind. It's important in service business as well as real estate, but I think in retail, especially if you're trying to expand, grow, scale, you really got to understand, how do I get the product, or how do I get people to see this product as much as possible? And for you to take an influencer, like someone on social media or a hip hop artist, and put them with the product, you can create something amazing, like the G Unit movement, or the movement when the S. Carters. I think everybody remembers those products, even though they're not around now. Those artists made a lot of money on top of their music careers with that. And you can do the same thing in your business by, building a brand around yourself, and then taking that and putting it online, or going out and talking with people. And so what we want to learn from Steve Stoute is just that there's always going to be that need for marketing expertise in order for us to grow our business and expand the way that we want to. All right. So leave your comments below about Steve Stoute. He's also an author. I advise you to go check out his book. It's a good look. All right. So before we go, I just want to recap. We talked about retail analysis, and we're gonna do a couple more series where we talk about the service industry, as well as the real estate market. All right, as well, because I know that you guys have questions about this stuff, so we're gonna hit you with it. And every time we're gonna build on these analysis more and more as we educate you and we learn more ourselves. And so just remember, it's important to have an online presence. Your reputation is important, and, work with other people that have influence in your community. They may not be your customer, but they may be somebody that can help you get your product out there. All right. I appreciate y'all, and thanks for checking us out, and I'll see you next Tuesday.
It's Ace! Ace! Let's get money!